Okay, dozens of you have asked me to address this issue, and I'm ready to address it today. I've been waiting for the story to develop a little bit. Some of you might remember this guy named Jesse Lee Peterson. Jesse Lee Peterson is sort of a prominent black conservative. He's a Christian pastor. He has a men's counseling center in Los Angeles, which I've been to when I was on Jesse's program a couple of years ago. His studio and his radio show all go out of the same building. I believe it's called the Bond in Los Angeles. And it appears that the very openly homophobic, anti-gay Christian pastor Jesse Lee Peterson is gay. And I'm going to talk about my experience with him, which included him being pretty handsy with me, to be perfectly honest. I wasn't sexually harassed. I didn't feel intimidated or anything. But at the time, I just wrote it off to this guy's just a character. He's just handsy. But I'm going to get back to that. Okay? So here's the story. The Daily Beast now reporting allegations of manosphere pastors' gay past, royal macho men. Jesse Lee Peterson has emerged as one of the right's most vocal anti-gay figures, but his one-time friends now allege that the pastor has had many same-sex relationships. I'm not going to give you every claim, but there are so many stories now of people saying, I was involved in sexual, like men saying I was involved in sexual activity with Jesse Lee Peterson. He comes on to people aggressively in many cases, etc. Two of Peterson's former male associates came out in June with on-the-record interviews saying they engaged in sexual activities with him. Other men say he propositioned them. These allegations about the pastor, who is publicly staunchly heterosexual, have ripped like an earthquake through the manosphere, prompting some Peterson allies to abandon him and prompting one manosphere conference to ban him altogether. The Daily Beast was not able to substantiate the allegations. Peterson's ministry, a brotherhood organization known as Bond, did not respond to multiple requests for comment. Okay, so what's my view on this? I don't care about his sexuality, per se. I really could not care less. At this point, I just don't care about people's sexual orientation. It's boring to me. I just don't care. Now, Jesse Lee Peterson is definitely an odd guy. He is seemingly obsessed with talking, despite being a black man, talking about how great white people are and how terrible black people are. And he's also obsessed with talking about how terrible and sinful and horrible it is to be gay. And he supposedly counsels young men out of being gay, or at least that's what he claims to do. And it seems as though he is also gay himself. Okay. What I can tell you is that the vibe at his counseling office was really, really weird. So let me tell you what I personally observed. Was he handsy at his office? He was. He kept, when we took pictures, he was sort of like weirdly hugging me, arm around me in a way that's like, it doesn't raise any red flag. I didn't think he was coming on to me. I didn't feel intimidated or whatever. There were people around. But it was just like, it was the first time I was meeting him, and he was a little bit handsy, and I didn't really think anything of it. Now, in this context, maybe that was something sort of different. He was kind of like whispering into my ear, like not sweet nothings. It was actually about Trump. He was like, and I've said this before, like, you're going to vote for Trump, aren't you, David? You're going to vote for Trump. And I quite literally thought absolutely nothing of it, like nothing at all, like what people are describing. The atmosphere at his office with young men kind of hanging around, the fact that he counsels young men with Christian counseling, I did find it all weird, but not because I thought it was a way for him to proposition dudes, because it just seemed like this is the last guy who should be counseling young men. And of course, he takes advantage of this entire thing, where, as many of you know, to say one is a therapist, you actually need a license. You either need to be a psychologist or a licensed social worker, licensed independent social worker, psychiatrist, licensed mental health counselor. He was none of these things. The term counselor or coach can be used by anybody. And he claimed to be a counselor. And of course, he's just a pastor. He doesn't actually have any therapy credentials. And that was the biggest red flag. And there were all these young men hanging around, and it was odd. So is it a shock? I mean, Not really, in the sense that we've seen now dozens of the most openly and notably homophobic Christian figures actually be gay themselves. In that sense, it's not really a shock. It's only sort of surprising because this is the only one that I personally know, and who's, I was with him at his office and all of these different things. So that's really all I have to say about it. It's not, it's not, when people started emailing me saying, David, it turns out Jesse Lee Peterson is gay. Okay. No, that's my concern is more about what are the lives that he has potentially ruined. Now, one other thing, there was this interesting moment. Jesse Lee Peterson's all about alpha, the alpha male. And he says, if you're on the left, you're beta. He's called me a beta male. And we had an interview where I asked him, are you in a relationship? Are you sexually active or whatever? And he said that he's off sex, and he's off sex because out of wedlock, I think was the term he used, it's inappropriate or whatever, but he seemed visibly uncomfortable with the line of questioning. And again, is it all related to this entire hidden homosexuality thing that's going on? Maybe, I don't know. In retrospect, hindsight starts to become clearer and clearer, but I don't really know that any one of these things is sort of like a big, oh, it should have been obvious that he was one of these homophobic gay guys. I really can't say that. I can only speak to my personal experience, and that's what it is. Very, it's a sad story. It's not sad that he's gay. It's sad that he's gay and homophobic. That's always sad when people can't just be who they are. And also that I have a very strange feeling about the entire counseling of young men. Quite frankly, we're talking about boys in many cases, that he was doing, and who knows what else we may learn about this in the future. That's about it. One of our sponsors is Immi. Hands down, some of the best ramen noodles I've had. Just like any instant ramen, you pop Immi into the microwave or on the stovetop for a few minutes and it's ready to go. But what makes Immi different is that it is packed with 21 grams of protein, lower in sodium, 100% plant-based, with 18 grams of fiber for digestive health, and it tastes excellent. So many of the other ramens are bland, simple, artificial. Immi uses high-quality ingredients and recipes. You get a zing of flavor I've never had with any instant ramen. Immi comes in amazing flavors like spicy beef, tom yum shrimp, and black garlic chicken. If you try Immi and don't love it, you get your money back. You'll get $5 off when you go to immieats.com/Pakman and use the code Pakman at checkout. The link is down below.